weekend, which was pretty interesting if you're following the elections here in the US, and who knows what's going to happen, whether it's recounts or lawsuits or Senate seats for that matter in Georgia. I'm not going to talk too much about that today, though. I am going to give you a little bit of a roundtable, kind of spitfire from different things that have happened over the week. We did have an MT Connect board meeting last week. An interesting part about the updates there from our standards committee is how well developed the standard is, and not just by breadth and depth, but how the organization is developing standards and making it more easily developed and also consumable, machine readable for that matter. And it aids in the efficiency of this whole industry, Internet of Things world where devices need to talk to devices and information needs to be shared. Again, MT Connect, the information model and semantic dictionary, helping to define that ecosystem in the manufacturing technology world. But how standards harmonize with other standards, whether by reference or inherently developed together, mapping terms, how that happens in practice is also kind of clunky. And that's one of the things that we have been extremely proud of the Standards Committee and the Institute to work through. What does it look like to have the standard consumable, particularly machine readable? So please go visit mtconnect.org to find out more about what's going on and of course the latest version releases and all that's happening in that world. We at AMT get quite a bit of questions, and I'm going to stay now within the broader umbrella of advocacy. So Amber Thomas running that for us, obviously, and we pitch in where we can, either myself or Pat and others, and particularly in departments. So our strategic analytics department gets a lot of requests coming in through different entry points regarding the industrial base and the analysis of that base. And one of the things that AMT does well is collect and understand data. And so what we have done over time and almost annually now, we just finished this exercise, is helping to understand the trends in manufacturing technology, particularly machine tools, but census data, import data, export data. This is a portion of the answer of the question, what is our industrial base like in the US? So we're trying to help color in some data around capabilities and capacities and where it looks the US stacks as far as global analysis is concerned. Another interesting thing back to the Hill has been questions around better defining machinery. And what does it mean if we're going to put, whether it's something like an export control or if it's a tariff or it's a some other kind of legislative or executive order tool, what is it the government should really know and understand before they broadly just throw terms out there into legislative language and executive order verbiage? So one of the things over the summer and into the fall that we worked on is helping to provide understanding around the machinery and materials. There's a bill that comes out called the Miscellaneous Tariff Bill, the MTB. And this would be where companies who are importing certain things request relief waivers for these tariffs. And so we were asked to look at some equipment in particular sectors, not to qualify or disqualify, but to understand if there are waivers being approved in its normal process. Are there things that we can do in the US to improve that scenario and that condition and business-wise that would allow there to be sources in the US or sources closer to the US? And it's not always, yes, everything should be shored and sourced here, but it helps us understand the return on investment, the business kind of discussions that happen internally at these companies to know, is there a legislative or a policy position that would improve the business conditions for such businesses? So, it's been an interesting learning experience for me, but of course in our group, we're wide and diverse in expertise, trying to understand what do we first look at, and secondly, what does that mean for the bottom line? So that's been a really interesting play for us here at AMT to help inject some fidelity, if you will, into that process, and also gain a ton of insight from hands-on experience to see what the legislative process is and what it is they're trying to capture. And for us, we take away, how can the business environment be improved over time, especially for the small and medium business, but for us, it's all things manufacturing. Other things, really, I do want to point back to, point to Wednesday. So on Wednesday, Veterans Day this week, Pat McGibbon, who usually has this slot, will be doing a deep dive into USMTO data. So if that interests you, which I know by stats many do, please join us back on Wednesday. Pat will be on and he will walk you through a little more detail on USMTO. And then other than that, any questions, concerns going on in advocacy land, Amber Thomas, myself, Pat McGibbon, find any one of us or all of us, and we will do our best to answer those questions. But for the minute, I think we're good. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to being with you guys soon. Take care.